hi everybody, I'm Scott Kelby.
And I'm Matt Klaskowski. Welcome to Nikon D-Town, the weekly show for Nikon shooters.
Yep, this is our first episode ever, and each week we're going to be bringing you tips on how to use your camera, some really cool accessories, and just a lot of things to make using your Nikon gear a lot more fun.
Yeah, so we got a lot of good stuff in store, and actually I think you're up with the first tip, right?
I've got the first tip. What we're going to do is we're going to look at a really great way to set your white balance. So obviously you have the controls right on your camera to set your white balance, and there's a lot of things that you could use to set your white balance, like a Weibel card or a gray card or an Expo disc. But if you use live view, there's a very cool trick to let you do it right in the camera. We're going to head over to the studio to check it out. All right, like I mentioned earlier, you could set your white balance in a studio environment like this using a gray card. You might have your subject, this is Julie. You might have Julie hold a gray card, or you might use an Expo disc or a Weibel or something like that. But when you're out like doing travel photography or landscape photography, you don't always have a gray card with you. So I'm going to show you how to use the live view feature in your camera if you have a D300, a D700, which is what we're using here, a D3 or D3X. Now, it's also on the Nikon D90. Let me show you how it works on these DSLRs. There's a little dial at the top. You're going to press the button and switch over to LV, which takes you to the live view mode. Here, let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Switch over to live view, press the shutter button, and you can see it comes on. Now, on the D90, there's actually a live view button right on the very back. You just press it and it goes on. Now, once it's in place, we can take a look at the white balance that's there, and we can see that, well, Julie looks very yellow. So what we do is we press the white balance button on the top of the camera, use the dial over here to just scroll through, and it shows you all the different white balances you could set in your camera. So without actually knowing, you can just look and say, all right, which white balance looks best? So if I wanted to take an ambient light shot in this room, I would just switch this around to see which looks best. Actually, daylight looks pretty decent for this particular one. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to carry the card and stuff with you, because you're going to get a preview of what you're really going to get right here. All right, well, that's the tip on how to use live view for setting your white balance live. Now we're going to send things back over to the studio, where Matt is going to show you a very cool tip for Nikon Capture NX2.
Thanks, Scott. Now it's time to take a look at Capture NX2 and what I think is really one of the key features inside of the program, and that is these control points, because they make adjusting specific parts of your photo so much easier. So what I'm going to do here is right at the top here, I'm just going to click on the little control point icon. And then what we do is you kind of pick a part of your photo that you want to do something with or change something about. In this example here, it's this white house. If you look at it, I know it should be white, but it kind of looks a little bit gray, okay? And the easiest thing to do is just click on it, right? And that sets the control point. And then if you look to the right of that, you're going to see there's a little circle that lets you kind of drag that thing back and forth, and you can make it larger or you can make it smaller. So I'm going to make it just about the size to encompass the entire house. Now, if you need to, you can move it around. Just click on that little dot, and as you kind of drag it around, you'll see it repositions itself. But as long as you leave it over some of the white part of the house, that's what it's predominantly going to affect here. All right? And then the next thing below that is you'll see it's got some brightness, it's got a contrast slider, and it's got a saturation slider. So what I really want to control here is the brightness of this house. So as I start to drag that to the right, check it out. So gray house now becomes white. Okay? And obviously if we wanted to address the contrast or the saturation for this, we could do that with this control point as well. But just to kind of give you an idea of what it's doing, okay, I'm going to go over into my adjust panel and take a look at what happens when I turn it off. That's before. And that's after. I mean, that's a big change for us just dragging one point on there. So really powerful stuff. And if you look at it when I do the before and after, see how it doesn't affect anything else. It's not spilling off onto the trees or anything outside of that white house. It just gets the white house. So very cool stuff inside of there. Now, we got a quick break coming up here. And after the break, we're going to take a look at an accessory tip from Scott and another tip to close out the show. Hey everybody, we're back, and you got a cool little accessory tip for you, don't you?
I have a very cool accessory. It goes with me everywhere I go. It's always in my camera bag because it's so light and it's so small that you actually will carry it with you. It's a GPS unit that fits on your hot shoe. So it fits right here, top of the camera. This one's called the DI GPS, and it's made for Nikons, and it works wonderfully well because there's really not much to it. You know, it doesn't have a bunch of software and things that go with it. What it does is you mount this on top of your camera. Let me show you how you mount it. Pop off the little thing on the front. You connect this right here on the side. Screw it on tight. And then all you do is pop this right here on top of the hot shoe. That's the whole deal. You're done. You pop that on there. Now, when you take a shot, it's automatically going to embed the digital information into your camera of where you took it, the latitude, the longitude, the whole GPS information gets embedded right into the file. It's not written into a separate sidecar or something like that, so wherever your file is, whether it's a raw file or whatever, it is embedded right into the image. So once you get back, if you take the image into Capture NX2, if you go to the file and camera information, you'll see it right there. You'll see here, let me show you right here. Let's go under the window menu and choose metadata. And then when you scroll all the way down here on the side, you will see at the very bottom, look, there's the GPS data right there. There's latitude and longitude. And apparently I was at about 4 meters when I shot this. Now, if you have Lightroom, what you can do is, let's head over to Lightroom, and they've got in their metadata panel here the same information. So there's the GPS information, there's my 4 meters. But you see this little arrow on the side here? If you click on that, what it will do is go ahead and launch Google Maps and show you a satellite photo of where, see, there's the hotel. And there's where I was standing there on the beach. So
that's right about 4 meters, too.
That's about 4 meters above sea level. Thank you.
Looks like it.
So it's called the DI GPS. You can find out more about it at di-gps.com. And I don't know if it's called the DI GPS or I always call it the DI GPS because I always thought like digital imaging GPS. It's from Dawn Technology. They range from about $139 up to about $195. And if you have something like the Nikon D90,
which we do
right here, on the side there is a little GPS cover here, and inside is a USB port. So if you have a D90, make sure that you get one that has the USB cable instead of this 10-pin connector.
Cool, man. Hey, that's big because I know whenever I'm out on the road and I demo the GPS feature and people see that, it's just like,
they love it.
I mean,
absolutely.
Everybody loves GPS now. All right, so I'm going to finish things off here with a really neat camera tip. This is something that I use on my D300, and I can't go back to the way it used to be. So the way we used to cycle through our images and the way it comes set by default is you would use your kind of multi-touch selector here, and you would just click to the right and it would go through your images. But instead, check out what we're going to do. We're going to go into our custom settings menu here, and we're going to go down to controls, and then I'm going to go down to F7, which is customize the command dials, which is this command dial right up in the top right. Okay, and inside of here, you're going to see an option for menus and playback. So right now it's turned off. It's turned off by default. But I'm going to go inside of there. I'm going to click up to on, and the key here is you got to hit OK because so many times, like we do it and we
just
hit back.
Just moving there, you have to hit OK.
Got to hit OK. Okay, once you do that, when you come back in here, let's go into our review mode. And now you can see as I start to review my photos, I don't have to press here. I just turn the command dial, and it goes to the next photo. And the next photo. If I want to go back, I can go back just by turning the command dial. And that's the way I do it now instead of using that touch.
Now, some of the higher end cameras already come programmed that way, but if you have like a D200, a D300, one of the D90s, then you need to use that same feature right there to have the feature. That's already preset in the bigger ones. All right, well, that wraps it up for our very first episode of Nikon D-Town. We hope that you will stop by our website and give us some ideas of what you'd like to see in future shows. Our website is nikondtown.com. So stop by there, drop us a line, let us know what you want to see.
Definitely.
All right, well, I am Scott Kelby.
I'm Matt Klaskowski.
We'll see you right back here next week on Nikon D-Town. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.